Okay, go.
Hi, my name is Jessica Rojas. I'm standing here before one of the many workshops around the MTA bus redesign. And it's a really deeply concerning proposal. While I understand it's a proposal, it actually eliminates lines that many of us depend on. It cuts east-west traffic and being able to travel from the east side of the community to the west side. And we have to ensure that we're keeping our communities together. Just because you live in East Elmhurst or Elmhurst and you want to travel to Jackson Heights, you shouldn't feel that divide. Well, I'm also really concerned about the lack of accessibility. Many of these stations that the buses are proposed to go to instead of 74th Street are inaccessible. That's a huge problem. And a lot of these lines are being truncated in ways that cuts off access to other communities like Long Island City and Astoria, where many of our children go to those schools. Many of us use the movie theaters and the museums over there. So there's so many challenges with this proposal. I'm here speaking up, speaking out, and making sure that the MTA is aware that there's a lot of issues and that our community is not going to settle for that plan. Also, it's not in Spanish. So there's a whole swath of this community, we're 60% Latino, that may not have the information in a language that's accessible to them. So we got to keep fighting. We have to make sure it's accessible and that people understand and that we can raise our voices and speak out so we get the plan that we deserve.
So how do you feel about the bus eliminations on the Q60 and Q32 overnight? Because as you know, a cab ride from Manhattan to Queens is about 40 to 50 bucks when you can take a bus. And do you feel night owl bus service is needed?
Absolutely. Many people in our community, right here, Jackson Heights, East Elmhurst, Corona, Woodside, they are working class people that work all sorts of shifts. My partner worked an overnight shift. We understand what it means to have to get home safely. And the buses are a really safe option sometimes when the subways don't feel as safe. So we absolutely need our overnight service because it serves the working class in this community.
So I asked Andy Byford about this, the president of New York City Transit, directly on the microphone. And his response to me was he basically didn't answer the question. He just had a comment. He basically said that we are rethinking outside the box. And that doesn't answer the question. So do you know that Patrick Foy is the chairman of the MTA? Why isn't he here? Why aren't the board members here? How do you feel about that as a person running for New York State Assembly?
No, we need representation we need all elected officials and all the members of the MTA Board and people to really understand what's happening so that they can hear for themselves the challenges that the community is raising. So while it's great that Byford's here and the other high-level leaders, it's really important that we have the multiple layers. And the MTA is a very multi-layered entity, that they are here as well and that they're listening to the community. So we have to, again, continue to speak out. There's board meetings we could participate in. There's ways to get involved. So us as a community is going to have to make that happen.
And also, the Elmhurst Long Island Railroad Station, there was funding put in. And because the elected officials were playing games, the funding was taken back out for the study. And how do you feel about that? Because that would have given people a one-seat ride to Penn Station.
No, I think we need to invest more funds into the MTA. As a state rep that I'm seeking to become, it is about making that a priority, right? And making sure that there's multiple ways of getting to the destinations that we need to get to in order to live, thrive, raise our families in this community. So it's not about, taking things away to replace, it's about making deeper investments. So we need to make those sort of investments so that we have one-seat rides, but we also need to protect our buses and expand our buses. Right? We do need to redesign and improve our bus system, but by taking lines away, taking services away to give to another community is not the way to do it. The other communities, Southeast Queens, other parts of Queens do need bus service, but it shouldn't be at the expense of our community.
Right. I live in Southeast Queens, so we're losing our bus service worse than you guys are.
Right. I know you were sharing.
I know that you're running for assembly. So I know you've told me you go to college. You went to college in Long Island and you use nice bus.
No,
okay.
I went to college in Boston.
Boston. But you've been in Long Island.
Yeah.
And obviously the MTA took away Long Island bus in 2008 when they had those budget cuts. So if you get into the assembly, and I know I'm running for assembly too, are we both going to get the funding? Are we both going to get Long Island bus back or propose a bill?
Let's fight for it, right? There's people from Queens that need to get to Long Island as well. There's many needs throughout the region, right? We're all part of a region. So we need to fight together and make sure public transportation is invested in. What I want to do is get away from car culture, right? There's children who have been killed right here on Northern Boulevard, right? So we need to make sure that we're investing in a public transportation system that's safe, that's accessible, that's affordable, and that we don't have to rely on cars cramming the streets and causing all sorts of, environmental damage and safety issues.
I want to talk about safety because did you know that the subway stations in this area is covered by Transit Police District 20, and there's only 2 patrol cars out at night. Did you know that? And how do you feel about the EDPs that are on the subway? There's been violent robberies, there's been attacks in the last few days.
Yeah.
And do you feel for women traveling at night that women should be put in the middle car, or they should have a special car only for women on the subways for safety reasons?
No, I don't think so. I think that's a really interesting idea. I don't know that segregation is the idea. I think we have to re-envision safety. I don't know that putting more police is the answer, I'll be honest, because I know many in our community here, as an immigrant community, they often don't feel safe with the police, right? Because many of them might be undocumented and don't feel a lot of safety with the police. But we do need mechanisms of safety. So what are the other tools? Maybe there's cameras, maybe there's other tools that we can use to make sure the system's safe, make sure the lighting is better. Other workers that are not armed police but are transit workers present in the station that can be sort of accessible and helpful to anyone in need. So I think we have to re-envision that. I'm not about over-policing, certainly, and we're seeing the police, target people who
unfortunately
are
during the day,
yeah.
but overnight it's a whole different situation.
Yeah.
You could call 911. I saw a beating. I don't know if you saw that video. The woman getting beat up at 179th Street. The cops didn't come for 30 minutes.
Yeah.
She was pushed onto the ground, beaten and punched, and we try to help.
Yeah.
But there's only so much, passengers
they
can
need to
do.
be responsive. Absolutely. They absolutely need to
And
be responsive.
a lot of transit workers are getting assaulted, they're getting urine. I was in a car in the F train where a homeless man threw urine on a conductor. So that's bad. You need safety.
Yeah, we absolutely need safety.
And with congestion
and
pricing.
for the workers, like you said, for the workers and for the passengers as well. But yeah, with congestion pricing, there's going to be more money, more resources for capital projects for the MTA, and we need to make those structural investments so that people do feel safe, and that we all can live, work, and thrive in this city and community and the region.
Right. And I was going to ask you, if you're elected, right, because I know I'm also running, and I feel that the MTA Board should not be governor appointees. They should actually be elected officials, like BOT and San Francisco has.
Yeah.
How do you feel about that?
I'd have to think about that.
Okay.
I'd have to think about that because...
And it gives more accountability.
Yeah, there's more accountability. I agree. It's an interesting idea. I would explore it.
Okay.
I don't have an answer right now, but thank you.
All right. It's been great talking to you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank
All right,
you.
for being on
Thank you.
Passengers United News. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay.